And last one is from Craig. He says, I was looking into Wikipedia. So this is good. This is the one that I expected to spend a little bit of time on. I was looking into Wikipedia, trying to research relevance for a contractor or home painter, etc. But for anything related to painting, it was not very clear. Yeah, that is a tricky one. And I know that because I've had a few painting contractor link building clients. But then I also do have a local business client who's been an on again, off again client of mine for 10 years, who's a painting contractor. So I'm familiar with a little bit of that as well. And so let's just go demonstrate that, guys. If we jump into Wikipedia, or we'll go to Google search, and we're going to do it. If we look up house painter, so this is what it's house painter and interior decorator, I think is the actual Wikipedia entity for that. Yeah, house painter and decorator. That's what it is. That's the name of that's the actual entity for a tradesperson that does painting. So even if it's which is interesting, because even like commercial painters, it's interesting because even though it says in the entity name house painter and decorator, again, Craig, this is why I talk about using Google search with Wikipedia appended to the search to identify what are the relevant entities sorted by relevance according to Google. What are the relevant entities? The entities relevant to the seed search query, and they're sorted by their relevance according to Google's criteria, not Wikipedia's. That's why I do it, the searches in Google with Wikipedia appended, because I want to know, how does Google understand these topics? That makes sense. And it's going to sort by relevance to the seed search query. And so, first of all, I recommend identifying that, start doing this so that you become familiar with how Google understands the topics and entities in a particular industry. But then it's not enough just to get, how does Google see it, but also understand the language, right? So I always recommend, once you start identifying the topics or entities in Wikipedia that are relevant to the industries that you're researching, is to start reading through you don't have to memorize these pages, guys, but become familiar with the language and the definitions of these entities, right? Because then it can reveal a lot to you that you might not have known. So for example, a painting contractor that does residential and commercial painting, this is still relevant, and it says so. House painter and decorator is a tradesperson responsible for the painting and decorating of buildings. Doesn't say residential or commercial. Even though it says house painter here, it says buildings, right? And is also known as a decorator or a house painter. The purpose of painting is to improve the appearance of a building to protect it from blah, 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 blah. So the point here is that even though this entity says house painter and decorator, which again is a strange name in my opinion, it is what it is. So that's the actual entity. Now, I wouldn't optimize for that type of a term. I would optimize for, if we go search it, so let's just go look for house painter Scottsdale, since that's where I'm at. If we go into maps. Come on, God damn it. Sorry, guys. All right, so here you will see that it's painter, right? So that is the Google business category is painter. And so that's what I would optimize for when I'm optimizing for, because again, doesn't it say that right here? A house painter and a decorator is a tradesperson responsible and is also known as a decorator or a house painter. But the Google business category is painter, right? So what I would be optimizing for really is painter. And then, or painting contractor, even though that's not specifically the entity here. If the reason why I caution against that is because if we look at, there is a house painting. If you see house painting, you'll see that redirects to house painting and decorator, excuse me. But if we look up, yeah, see painter, let's look for painter or painting, excuse me. The reason why I don't like to use painting alone as is because if you look at painting, you're talking about a piece of art. Does that make sense? But if you talk about a painting contractor, that changes the that changes the meaning, right? So a painting contractor would be a combination of painting or house painter, really. And it really, honestly, that's what it would be. It would be house painting, a house painter and contractor would be a combination. If you had painting contractor, guys, let me kind of explain just so I don't cause any confusion here, guys. Let me just pull this up. If I look at plumber Wikipedia, for example, this is just a different category, I know, but this is to kind of reinforce what I'm trying to explain here. A plumber is a tradesperson who specializes in installing and maintaining systems used for potable drinking water, hot water production, sewage drainage, and plumbing systems. So a plumber. But if we go take a look at plumber, Scottsdale. Okay, let me go into maps. Come on. It says plumber. Oh, God damn it. I said plumber. I should have looked up roofer. That's what I meant. I'm sorry, guys. Anyways, let me pull that up. It should have been roofer. I don't know why I thought about plumber, but it should have been roofer. If we go look at roofer, roofer is a tradesperson who specializes in roof construction, repairing, replacing, installing, all of that. So roofer. But if we go take a look at roofer Scottsdale, that's what I meant to say. Roofer Scottsdale. What is the category there? It's roofing contractor, right? What does Wikipedia say? Wikipedia says a roofer, roof mechanic, or roofing contractor is a tradesperson. So what I'm saying is a roofer is synonymous with roofing contractor, right? So or roof mechanic. So you could use any one of those three terms interchangeably in your optimization strategy. What I recommend is optimizing the SEO title for one, the H1 for a different variant, and the first H2 for the other version or variant, if that makes sense. Because now you're hitting all three of the synonymous terms for that specific topic, if that makes sense. So coming back to the house painter example, because that's what the question was about. What I would do is the house painter, wherever that went, let's go back to that here, which is a redirect, right, to that longer entity term, which I don't like. So house painting redirects to house painter and direct decorator anyways, right? So a house painting contractor would be the same as also, if we go back here and take a look up contractor, right? There's various versions of contractor depending on which context it is used. The context in which we would be using it would be general contractor. You only have to reference it as contractor. But, and again, look what the language says. A general contractor, main contractor, prime contractor is builder or contractor. So all of these terms right here are synonymous with general contractor. So you can use builder synonymous with general contractor. Contractor in the US and Asia is synonymous with general contractor. Does that make sense? So the point that I'm trying to make is you can create or combine specific topics to create something that is relevant to our industry, if that makes sense. So what I would do is I would do something like painting contractor, right? Or house painting contractor if it's specifically residential, then I would probably do that. But you can also do house painter in that case, just straight up house painter, right? Because it says this as well. So anyways, that's all I'm saying is it is a little bit tricky. Sometimes you're going to find these. Another one that's very tricky is in the real estate industry, but especially the investors, the real like home buyers, house buyers, we buy houses, sell your house fast, all that kind of stuff. That's a very challenging industry to work in for topic and category optimization. This one's a bit challenging too. There can be some things that you can do as I just described. Some of them are a lot more straightforward, like roofing or roofer, plumbing, HVAC, tree services. All of those are a hell of a lot more kind of cut and dry, right? Simpler to, but this is one of those that's a little bit tricky. But anyway, all of that is to say, guys, anytime I make a suggestion like this, it does require some additional testing, just to be clear. I'm still doing testing with the kind of site structures and everything that I've been teaching about for the last year and a half. I've actually got several more in progress right now that I'm building, testing some other kind of unique structures and things like that. So when I'm talking about doing topic and category optimization, I can provide recommendations based upon my experience with the industries that I've actually done testing with this type of a strategy in. But I do recommend every time that I do an audit or I do this kind of teaching, always disclaim it with like, hey, this is what I'm recommending, but you're going to need to test because as I've talked about with testing different configurations between the SEO title, the H1 and the first H2, just rearranging those can produce different results. And so again, as I mentioned before, when I was talking about roofer or whatever the hell it was, a roofer, roof mechanic, and roofing contractor, all three of those are synonymous with each other. So it might make sense to include variations of those in the SEO title, H1, H2, etc. That's clear. So anyway, but testing with different configurations as to what you put in the SEO title, what you put in the H1, what you put in the first H2 can yield different results. So that's why, again, I always recommend guys staying with one industry if possible, because then you'll have the ability, the time to be able to test these different kind of configurations across multiple projects to determine which produces the most consistent and the best results the most consistently. right? And I'm still testing in the tree service industry. I already have identified for 100% for certain the appropriate structure of the site structure, but now I'm still testing with kind of different ways to that same structure, but how to plug that structure into different scenarios. Should we be optimizing the homepage for a county level and then all of the city pages are cities within that county? Or should we be optimizing the homepage for the central city, that where the GBP would be located if it has a GBP, and then all of the supporting location pages are the adjacent cities? Like I'm still trying to figure, could we do it at a regional level where the homepage is optimized for a region, and then we target for the city pages the major cities within that region? So again, I'm testing with several different structures right now to determine, or I know the structure. I'm testing different scenarios with that structure to determine what performs the best or has the broadest maps coverage with the least amount of pages, if that makes sense. So that's why I said, guys, I do like to provide a lot of training on this kind of stuff for the concept, but in your own respective industries, you're going to have to test with different configurations to determine what performs the best. But these are all really good starting points, is my point, is the whole point of this exercise here, if that makes sense. Okay.